Okay, welcome. We'll go ahead and get started as people continue to join us. We're so excited to share a little bit with folks today about our global and domestic immersions, which is really a signature experience as part of our curriculum. I'm Julia Ailes. I'm our Senior Associate Director of Enrollment Management, which means I get the pleasure of leading our admissions team and working with some of our wonderful students who are excited to have on the call today. We're really looking forward to sharing about these signature immersions with you and have the pleasure of having 4 of our students on the call who've experienced many of these different trips over the past year. We'll introduce them in a little bit, but before we do that, we want to share a little bit about our program as well as where immersions fit into our program of study. And if you've not really explored Kelley Direct in depth previously, we'd certainly encourage you to reach out to us after the webinar and or explore our website for more information. And as we go, if you're on the call, go ahead and look at the bottom of your screen. If you have a question, you can feel free to use that Q&A function to ask questions of us or the student panelists. And we might answer the question in the Q&A if it's quick, or we might ask our panelists to answer as we go. So as I mentioned, our immersions are really part of our what makes us so special, and we're really proud to share that Kelley Direct is ranked #1 as an online MBA across 3 major ranking bodies. And our in-person experiences, including our immersions, are a major part of why Kelley Direct is so special. And we wanted to share a little bit about what else makes us special and what sets us apart from other programs. So in Kelley Direct, you learn from the best with the best, and we have some of the best people on the call today with us, our great students. We also are lucky to have 125 full-time Kelley School of Business faculty that teach our curriculum. And our curriculum consists of our signature integrated course sequences, along with the opportunity to have 50% of your credits in electives with 7 majors to choose from as well. And the opportunity to network with both peers and faculty are both required in-person experiences and our optional immersions, which we're talking about today, really deepen those connections that you make in our live class sessions. And so I want to share, before we get further along, a brief video that highlights 2 of our immersions from last summer that went to Ireland and Greece. Great. Well, we love that video. I hope it just gets a little enthusiasm and excitement for the types of experiences that folks can have with each other on these exciting trips. So you might be thinking, well, where does immersion fit into the plan of study? Our curriculum can be completed as quickly as 2 years, but you do have up to 4 years to finish. And immersions count as electives in our program. And so it's pretty flexible as to where they can fit in the program of study. You can even do more than one if space allows. And you'll hear from some of our students who have taken full advantage of these opportunities. So without further ado, I think we should just jump right into hearing from our panelists. We're excited to welcome them today. And hear a little bit about why they chose Kelley Direct, as well as the different types of immersions they went on, and what did they gain from those experiences. So we can go ahead and start with introductions. If you just want to go kind of in order of how you are on the slide, maybe clockwise. If everybody can just introduce yourself, maybe your current role or company, and tell us a little bit about why you chose Kelley Direct for your online MBA.
Okay, guys, I'll kick it out. Hi, everyone. My name is Keone Anslin. I work as a defense contractor for M1 Support Services out here in Las Vegas, Nevada. I chose Kelley Direct because I needed a program that was very flexible, that was high ranking, that was going to be very immersive with students and faculty, and allowed me the flexibility to, conduct my curriculum wherever I was at, because I do travel a lot. one of the reasons why I chose to go on the immersion, I went on the Brazil Rio de Janeiro immersion for winter of last year. I really wanted to get an international perspective on international business landscape, and Jenny and Belle also joined me on that immersion, and we saw a lot of different type of companies functioning internationally, but were located in Brazil, from from gas, petroleum, healthcare, and InBev, one of the largest beverage companies in the world, adult beverage companies. So it was really interesting to learn how they communicate not only in their domestic market but their international markets, and some of the interesting problems that they face on the global landscape. So if you're interested in maybe working internationally, it is definitely I recommend taking one of the immersions. So after that, thank you so much. I'll kick it off to Jenny. Jenny.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jenny Autry. I work in healthcare marketing for Susan G. Komen, which is a breast cancer foundation. And I chose Kelley, of course, because of the #1 ranking, and also so that I could major in marketing, which is really important to me. And I also really wanted an experiential learning opportunity for my MBA. And so I really did look at Kelley because of the global immersion courses. So it was a huge part of my decision to come. And I've done 2 so far, Thailand and Brazil, and I'm signed up for a 3rd in Italy this coming summer. So I know we'll dive more into that, and I'm excited to talk to you more about why I think you all should sign up for a global immersion as we dive more into these questions. So next, I'll kick it over to Mackie.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining. My name is Mackie Beck, and I'm an assistant brand manager at Reckitt. I have a more untraditional path for Kelley Direct. I actually was working for the university and really wanted to get a 2nd degree. And I was able to meet some full-time Kelleys during my time in Bloomington. And they really encouraged me to look into KD because of that #1 ranking. And what made it stand out to me was that we had the same professors. So the full-time students and the online students, us as KDs, we have the same teachers. And we really get the same experience, except for that in-person connection. And that's, for me, what was really important about going on to all these immersions, is to have a chance to build the connections that you have on the screen and through emails with your classmates, but to strengthen them. So I also went to, well, no one's mentioned they went to Ireland, but Belle and I went to Ireland. And that 1 week, I felt like I connected with students in a deeper level where I don't think I would have gotten that connection if we stayed online for all of my program. And I also did a domestic trip to Las Vegas for CES, which we'll dive into. And that was mostly, again, just to deepen my relationships with all of my classmates and the professors. I think the professors are a huge draw of Kelley. Like, they're very high-end top professors. So those are the main reasons why I chose KD and really wanted to do the immersions in my program. Okay, last up, Belle.
All right. Hi, all. I'm Belle Chow, and I'm the president of Shenwei USA Inc. and SW Sustainability Solutions. We're in the manufacturing of PPE products. Well, the main reason I attended Kelley is because, it ranks #1. Yeah, for sure. And then also the faculty is the same, just like Mackie, mentioned. I got so excited about their global immersion program because I had 2 expectations that I wanted to get out of the program, is to visit local businesses, to learn about the climate, the culture, the customs for my company's global expansion. And a second reason was, to build a good network with my peers. And I think I'd achieved, all that. So I went to, Ireland with Mackie, and then we study about high performance organizations. Then, went out to Thailand, and that was a wonderful experience, with Jenny, where, we study sustainability and ESG programs in many of these multinational companies. That was very, impressive experience there. Then, went on to Brazil. And that's about cross-culture management. And, truthfully, with that experience, I was able to bring back to my companies. And now we have a totally new perspective of how we should work with our international team members. And we are also changing, the criteria and allowing more of a hybrid culture in the foreign operations. So it was really, really, a very enriched program. And I totally encourage all of you consider if, you have the time, try to do at least one of these, global immersion program. Thank you.
Great. Thanks everyone for sharing just a little bit about yourselves and a sneak peek of your immersion experience. As folks touched on the different types of experience, if you can go to the next slide, we'll just share briefly a little bit about the different types of immersions we offer so you can kind of make sense as our students are talking. So we offer two different types, global and domestic immersions. And they're really, though, going to vary in format based upon the class and the faculty member that are teaching. As you may have heard mentioned, the trip to Ireland last summer, for example, was about designing high-performing organizations. I was fortunate to travel with students there, and we visited businesses like Google and Meta that were more global, but we also visited a lot of local businesses, including a Gaelic football stadium, international business development within Ireland, the Parliament. That was really exciting, to talk about culture of those specific organizations unique to in the context of Ireland. And then domestic experiences are also an option. Mackie can talk a little bit more about her experience going to the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. Students have also traveled to Los Angeles, Silicon Valley, and we typically offer 6 to 8 immersions per year. And they're very popular with our students, so we're continuing to work with faculty on some new and exciting ideas. And if you go to the next slide, we can see some of the different locations that we've been able to go to and or have on deck for the future. So Ireland, Greece, Las Vegas, Thailand, Brazil. In the future, this summer, we've got Italy and Germany. And we just know that our students are so excited about these opportunities, and we really think it's one of the greatest things about our program. So we are continuing to be committed to offering as many of these as we can, so students can, like our panelists, take advantage of multiple opportunities as space allows. So enough of me talking. We want to go back to our students to kind of hear a little bit more about your experiences. So some of you already touched a little bit on sort of why you applied for an immersion, but if you didn't, feel free to include that. And as you talk about why you applied, share with us, what trips you went on, if you went on multiple, and what you gained from that experience. We can start with Jenny this time.
So like I said, I was already super interested in the global immersion program before I even applied to Kelley. So it was really on my radar to try to take as many of these classes as I can for a couple of reasons. One is that I love travel in general, but two, I think a global perspective is so important, not just in business, but from a personal standpoint as well. I think we live in an increasingly global world where we're working with coworkers from all around the world because we can be connected by a screen just like we are today. And it's so vital to be able to understand those cultural differences, cultural norms, so that we can build strong partnerships and work together in the best way possible. So I think going to Thailand was fascinating. I chose that because sustainability is only going to become more and more important as we all grow through our careers, no matter which industry we're in. And so I really wanted to be able to gain a global perspective on that and see how some of these large multinational corporations were addressing sustainability issues as they all are starting to scale and expand. And as far as Brazil, from a cross-cultural management standpoint, like I said, I really wanted to be able to apply some of what we'd read in a book called The Culture Map by Erin Meyer, which I would highly recommend reading if you're considering going on one of these global immersions. I think it will help you to understand why it's so important. And for example, I've been able to apply what we learned as far as the fact that Brazil is more relationship based, and as far as how they build relationships and build trust with coworkers. And I was able to apply that actually today. I was talking to a new vendor from Mexico, and I knew from that scale that Mexico skews more towards a relationship based side, as opposed to Americans, we're more task based in how we approach trust. So I was able to start the call with talking about just more personal matters and able to build a rapport right off the bat. And I feel like I was able to set that vendor relationship up from a stronger place straight out of the gate because of understanding more about how important it is to respect other cultures and their norms. So that's a little bit about why I think it's so important. And I'm excited to go to Italy this summer to learn more about female entrepreneurship and, of course, to drink Prosecco.
Thanks, Jenny. That's a great example of applying what you've learned in real time. Does anyone else want to have thoughts they'd like to share next?
I'm happy to share. And I will say, Jenny actually taught me that Brazilians are relationship based when we last spoke. So I now learned that as well. So fun fact. So the reason I wanted to apply was twofold for the global immersion is similar to Jenny. I think travel is really important, especially with being in business and global business, and Belle being an international businesswoman. So I've lived overseas, but I really wanted to understand more about how to run a business in different cultures and really how do you adopt that culture, but keep like the home culture and understanding a lot about the different, like there's so many things that go involved into global business. And what I really liked to learn about Ireland was that a lot of people think people go to Ireland because they have great taxes, but that has changed. But there's a ton of other reasons of why companies are going to Ireland. One, they're an English-speaking EU company or country. So there were over 500 Fortune, or over, Belle maybe has to correct me, but there's like over 500 businesses located in Ireland that are US based, and they use that as their EU headquarters. So I was shocked to see medical companies, tech companies, small companies that I had like just heard of, but they also have a headquarters in Ireland. So I think that was one of the main reasons I wanted to go. And secondly is Will Gagan was one of the professors, and he is the head of the program. And so selfishly, I wanted to really build that relationship with that professor. And so he was a huge draw to wanting to do that program as well. But the other one that I applied for was CES, which was located in Las Vegas. So it's the Consumer Electronics Show. And the reason I really wanted to apply to that is because it's an invite-only event. But going through Kelley, you were invited. So it was a nice way to just be involved in an industry that I'm not really in. I'm not really in technology, but I was able to have like a bird's eye view and have the excuse of being like, oh, well, I'm a student. I'm just trying to learn. And you got to see like tech startups from like, they just founded their company last week, or they're year 2, they're trying to get funding, or they're Microsoft and they're there launching their new products. So there's a whole gamut of different companies that you got to interact with. And using the Kelley network, we got to meet with different financial institutions, so investors, and they told us like, oh, I wouldn't invest with them because XYZ. And they kind of gave you a new lens of like how investors look at companies. And myself wanting to hopefully be an entrepreneur one day, it was really good to see what the company is and then what the investor's mindset is. And so I can kind of keep that as a learning and put that in my back pocket for later.
Yeah, Mackie, great insight, guys. I wanted to add one more thing. To our guests that are considering an immersion, our professor, this is for Brazil in particular, but I'm pretty sure it applies right across the board. Our professor, Erica Caracas, and our assistant professors, Drew and Amy, that were out there, were phenomenal. They helped us with every step of the way, as far as organizing events, organizing experiences, and like the seamless transition between like panels, lunch, dinners, activities. So if you guys are worried about how logistically this is all going to work out, don't worry about it. Do it. You guys are going to have a blast, no matter what immersion you guys decide on.
And, I guess I will add a few more of my, kind of personal experiences, from my career, as well as, from these valuable global immersion experiences. I travel a bit, for the last 30 years for my job. And we have, quite a few teams that are in EU, Asia. but compares to the experiences that the school offers, with these programs, it really takes you to array of different companies, a great diversity. And that is not something that from my own business experience in the industries that will allow me to visit and have these communication, exchange of information, with the local business people. And I find it to be so invaluable. And that also allows me to do something more adventures, kind of out of the regular comfort zone. And very decided to initiate new programs with our employees and accelerate our pace and doing the sustainability, because in Thailand you would have imagined that they're starting to do these, but actually they are pretty far advanced in many of the programs that they're doing, and ahead of the regulatory measurements as well. So with these you can really apply, and of course I guess I have wanted to cover something as well, is that in class before the trip you get to learn so much about the countries that you'll be visiting, the culture, the customs, the history. So it's not that you are just start drawing your packing list, what you need to bring, but it's a lot of good study. And then one other thing I would like to add is that the trips, the immersions really allow you to bond with your peers, because this is an online program. We do have good assignments that you get to collaborate with your team members, but the fact that you'll be spending at least a week with them, from morning till the evening, from busy activities, and then maybe consultancy, case studies, to after kind of work hours, getting together. I think it's really wonderful, and don't miss it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks to everyone for sharing those insights with our audience. I think everyone touched a little bit on how you applied what you've learned. And so as we sort of are mindful of time, I'd love for everybody to share sort of any, maybe one highlight. If you've gone on multiple, feel free to share a highlight from each trip. But what was a highlight from your immersion experience that you want to share with everyone today? We can start with Belle this time.
Thank you, Julia. I really was very kind of touched when I went to the Epic Immigration Museum in Dublin. In fact, I revisited after the program. And that was not something officially included in, the must go and, company tour. It was really the extra activity that you're free to sign up for, and which I did. And that was something that, I had, borrowed experience of what I saw, how I felt in, creating and still in the progress of doing that, of experience lab for my products in Las Vegas. And then that is, again, when you are outside of the classroom, away from your laptop, all your senses, really open up. And then you feel the things, that, with your eyes, and then, you see, and then, especially with the local people there. So I, wanted to have my experience lab hopefully done before end of the year, which we started, right after, my trip back from Dublin, and it's been in the work since January of this year. So we are all very excited about that. Nothing has been done like that in our industry. And I hope to, bring some changes. And again, I would not have done it, not with the, idea not with the determination if I had not gone to these, trips. Thank you.
I can go next. So as others have reiterated, one of the best parts of the global immersions is being able to be with your fellow students who are going to become your dearest friends on these trips. And in Brazil, one of my highlights was our very first day when we were there, before the program had officially started. We had some students who had come in early, and I really wanted to go paragliding. I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie. And I convinced maybe 10 people to jump off of a mountain, including Keone. So, whether they say bonding through shared trauma, but it was such a fun way to start the trip. And it just really captured the energy and vibrance of Rio too. So I think that's one thing to consider is, yes, you're going to be going to these incredible companies and learning from their senior leadership, and you're going to take all of that back and apply it to your career. But it's also a lot of fun and a great way to be able to expand your network outside of the Zoom screen through experiences like jumping off a mountain. So highly recommend it for the fun aspect as well.
Yeah, I agree with Jenny. I think the main reason I wanted to go on these trips was the experiences with the people. And so both of my favorite highlights of the trip involve people. And so for Ireland, we had a non-official pub crawl because drinking is really popular within the Irish culture, which we did learn in class. So, but yeah, so I thought that was really, really fun. And so we just got to walk around everywhere and play a new game called Guinness Golf. And it's like where you have to drink the Guinness, and if you stop it at the right point, you like score a point. And if you don't, then you have to try again and get another beer. So I thought that was super fun. And I've actually played it recently at an Irish bar here for St. Patrick's Day. So I got to take that home. That's how I implement what I learned overseas. And then at CES, if you can imagine a 4-day conference in Las Vegas, at the end, you're extremely tired. And so my group, we found a massage chair like booth, and we literally went through it like 3 times, and then they had to kick us out because we kept going like back in line to just get like these massage chairs. And well, I'm sure in Vegas, you can imagine we had other fun experiences, but that one I think was just really fun because it was like a kind of a shared moment, like Jenny mentioned, except it wasn't traumatizing. It was more like, oh my gosh, our bodies hurt so bad from walking the floor for 4 days straight. So now we get to get a massage. But yeah, I think those are my favorite experiences.
Yeah, guys, thanks, man. I'll add I'll close it up for that. It's I'm terrified of heights, by the way. So doing that with all my classmates was definitely an experience. It was a great time. And the only place in the world, in Brazil, where you have 2 beautiful mountains that you're flying through, and that you're about to land on the beach of Ipanema and overseeing the other beach, Copacabana. It's a life-changing experience. Definitely don't have like views like that, in most places in the world. But like Jenny and Mackie were saying, just connecting with our classmates that we see normally through Zoom, and seeing them in the flesh and getting to know them, really quickly, because we only have about 7 to 9 days. So we're definitely, in the thick of it together. And these are one of the only type of experiences where you can, both learn coursework, directly apply it, on site, and continue the, extended networking after. So, I looked at it as a little bit of a vacation and a little bit of study. So it's definitely a wonderful experience. So if you guys are on the fence, I'm pretty sure we would all recommend it.
Awesome. Thanks to everybody for sharing all of those great highlights of your trips. We want to just talk a little bit about, before we wrap up, how you might, if you join our program, apply to participate in one of these immersions. So it would be an application process, and you wouldn't do it right away when you start the program, because you do have to complete some of our required core classes first. But we'll send out an application depending on the timing of the year. For the summer, we offer multiple immersions, so you could rank those experiences and sort of a letter of interest about why you're wanting to go. At some times of the year, there might just be one, so it'd be more specific application for that particular trip. There was a question about space. So yes, the space will be limited logistically based upon the location, and it's going to vary. Typically, the trips are between 20 and 30 students, but depending on the number of faculty involved and the location, for example, the Ireland trip has the capacity to go up to closer to 50 students. And we actually added a second week in Italy this summer to accommodate the interest of the students. So we're working hard to make sure that we have that space available. And if we do have the space available, that's what gives us the opportunity to also allow folks to attend and participate in multiple immersions, as you've heard here from the students. But certainly we would want to prioritize folks that have never gone to go on an immersion before, allowing folks like our lovely panelists to get to do 2 or even 3 experiences. And these are going to come up throughout all times of the year. So as you've heard, we've got summer, fall, and even winter, and it'll change a little bit. Some of our locations we do repeat based upon the great connections we have, like with Will Gagan in Ireland, but we're also working with faculty to get new locations as we go. Just also to let you know some estimated costs. It is a class, so you do pay for that class component, and there will be class sessions prior to the trip, and typically at least one kind of wrap up or debrief session after the trip that you'll do with your group. Because our students are all over the place, you're responsible for your own travel getting to and from your destination. And depending on the location, we might provide some meals, but that cost may also be on your own. Kind of depends on the size of the group and the city, what makes the most sense as we plan. There'll also be a program fee, and that really is to cover the hotel accommodations. Typically that's between $1,500 to $2,000. And as was mentioned, for the global trips, typically it's about a week, and the domestic trips might be a little shorter. So the cost may be different, maybe just 3 or 4 days, right, for that domestic experience. But you would know kind of upfront what the costs were before applying to that experience. But yeah, so if you join the program, we would hope that you would see these experiences a great addition to your learning opportunities, and hopefully that you felt inspired by the great stories that folks were shared about what they experienced and how they also applied what they've learned. And we would love to hear from you if you have any further questions. I don't think that there's any really in the Q&A that we need to answer. So we'll go ahead and say our goodbyes, but we'd love to hear from you. You can email us at kdirect@indiana.edu. Again, a big thank you to our panelists for being here today, and have a great day, everyone.